Hey guys, welcome back for another video. We're going to go over a comparison video here, a before and after, before on the left, after on the right. After is still kind of in process. We're not really finished the finishing pieces, but the bulk of it is there and quite good. So here's my client Nick. Left is from a few years ago. Right is at the end of this current season. It's been a few years, but a lot of good work has been done. So this just kind of shows what kind of work can be done if you put the work and you dedicate the time to changing and embracing the ups and downs of the process. But the changes are definitely very well worth it. So before on the left, Nick is a good player. He can shoot in the 70s. He's shot in the 70s in tournaments, no problem. But he was a bit wild. So if I play the video on the left for you guys, they're both 7-irons. Nick can get quite wild with the driver, especially. Now on the right, he's hitting 10 to 12 greens around average. He is more consistently shooting low 70s, low to mid 70s, depending on his putting, but it's a much more manageable round now, much more predictable. Both the ceiling and the floor has been raised, and he won't really have those blow up rounds anymore with this kind of swing that we've built up to this point. So I'll show you guys how it plays out on the right, and you guys can see it's a pretty big difference. I'll play it one more time for you guys. On the left is before, and then on the right is now at the end of this current season. So quite a big difference. We're going to go over what the biggest differences are, and then in ensuing videos, we're going to go over how to make those changes. So for you guys watching at home, this is kind of how I would start looking at swings based off of first few videos, okay? So when I watch Nick's swing from the down the line view, his arms like to go first. So see how that hand movement, he likes to start the hands kind of first, hinges the club up in an effort to keep the club outside the hands and get the shaft steep. But it's a very manufactured move that's not really in sync with the torso turn. We want to make sure for most players that the torso turn is what moves the arm unit. Right here, the arm unit moves on its own. Okay, so the arms and hands move on its own. It pulls back, and at the very end of the backswing, you can see he's a bit laid off, but doesn't look that laid off because he hinges quite a bit, and his arm is very folded, okay? So if I draw a line here for you guys, his his right arm is quite folded, it's quite narrow. We don't really see much club at the top of the backswing because he's hinged a bit too much. As well, when you watch this, we can see that he's not very turned because his pelvis has barely moved, okay? So when we set up, the pelvis is facing at the ball when we set up. When we turn, the pelvis should start facing more of the down the line camera, but he still faces towards the ball, which isn't very good. So a lot of backswing stuff needs to be improved on already. When we jump into the downswing, you can, because his backswing is not great, he's quite steep with the shaft, and he late shallows to try to make it playable. Again, he's a pretty solid player, but his wild rounds could get as high 80s, and he could lose a lot of golf balls off the tee. So when we downswing, key things to look for that people like to look at is, are you early extending? Okay, so when we watch, his pelvis, his right ass is definitely coming off the line, and he's very tilty at impact. He's very straight. He's very straight here and then round it later. He's not really maintaining posture at all through the ball. So it's not a very good downswing move at it. It's not really body driven. It's very arm driven. Body reacts to the arms, which is not what we want. We want the arms to react to the body. And then because the arms are going first, his arms out races his body completely. His arms are super folded in the follow through, which typically means his club face is also super folded. So you guys can't really see because of the frame rate, but the face is completely closed at this point, which is not very predictable. And then it's his arms. If I play for you at half speed, it's his arms that pull his body towards the finish. So we don't want that. It's not a really predictable high level golf swing. So with Nick now, his turn is on the right. His turn moves the arm unit. So you can see at setup, his arms are long, his wrists aren't really hinged. The turn is what moves the arm unit together as everything is in sync. He still keeps the club head outside the hands because he's not forearm rotating. And as he goes up, shaft is nice and steep, and he's much wider at the top. So at the top of the backswing already, some big players are at change. He's much wider on the left. He's very narrow on the left. I'm gonna start on the right now. He's much wider, okay? Right arm is folded less. We also see a lot more of his club. We don't see any of the club on the left picture because he's hinged too much, okay? A lot of good stuff has happened. So on the left here, because he's not hinged as much, he's hinged the proper amounts, the transition becomes much easier to transition from there. As the body reacts, the shaft will often shallow a little bit more on its own. He's not overly hinging in transition, so he maintains the wrist structure, he maintains the width, and as a result, you can see that stand there behind his butt. Because of all these positive changes, he now has the opportunity to keep his butt back, keep his ass back, keep his chest back, and he rotates so much better through the ball now. So at impact, he actually has some space at impact coming into the ball. You can see impact looks quite different between the two of them now. You can see Nick is much more maintaining posture, butt back, chest down. He still rotated nicely, right arm still slightly bent. With that, which helps the club face manages its closure rate. So you can see as he follows through, club head stays right of the hands for a lot longer, and as he follows through, you see how his face is still visible. His face is not face down like the picture on the left. The picture on the left, again, sorry for the frame rate issue. The picture on the left, the face is way down as he follows through, but you can see on the left, the face stays pretty square for a lot longer, okay? So a lot of these changes are very positive in that sense that the swing on the left allows him to hit a lot more fairways, a lot more greens, keeps the ball in play off the tee off his off days so that both his floor and ceiling are now raised. He's averaging 10 to 12, 13 greens around now, where on the left, he could have a good day, 12 greens, because I have a bad day, 5 greens. So it's not very fun golf when you're teetering between 75 and 85. Nick on the right now can shoot par, shoot better. Bad day, maybe high 70s at worst. So it's way better now. I'm going to show you both swings at half speed. So I'll show you Nick on the left again, the old Nick. And now the new Nick on the right. It's a way different move. So that from the down the line aspect, that's kind of what we look for. We're going to go over a face-on video moving forward just to give you guys more things to look at to help you guys dissect your own swings. That way you guys can better diagnose and hopefully implement the right things to help you guys improve your golf swings. So that's the down the line overview, kind of a before and after. We will go over specific pieces and when to implement things in future videos. But for now, if I sync these swings up, let's see if they play at the same time. Nope. Give me 1 sec. Let me sync these up for you guys. Let's see if we can sync this one up. Sync it up, both at half speed. I guess I did not sync it up. Sorry, guys. Thought I would learn how to sync it up by now. Bear with me. There we go. So you can see, guys, as we start to take away 1 unit on the right, as a lot of people like to call it, on the left, arms move on its own. We get to the top. Nick is a lot more turned at the top. Right hip turned back. See a lot more of his pelvis. You can see the top of the backswing is very different. And as a result, the transition is a lot cleaner on the right. Width and wrist structure is maintained. Nick hinges the wrist even more to start. Posture is well maintained on the right into the impact, which produces very predictable ball flight, very predictable delivery, which increases the chances of a predictable ball flight. While on the left, it gets a bit chaotic. So very different at impact and the follow through. So lots of things we can build off of this right picture. So really, really excited to see what this offseason brings with Nick. So hope that helps. Any question, leave it in the comments below, and then we'll catch you guys on next time. Thanks, guys.